When we think of history, our minds are naturally attracted to majestic events such as sieges, wars, famine, disease, ethnic cleansing, as well as the construction of new cities filled with technological and artistic advancements, ready to boost civilization to new heights. But events such important as these are merely a glimpse of the past. The vast majority of our time on Earth and what characterizes the human experience revolve around mundane day-to-day life. Financial and social struggles, unaccomplished dreams, relations with our peers and neighbors, personal success, crime, and eventually death. An intriguing case of a murder committed in 21st century United States has resurfaced thanks to recovered footage from a surveillance system. The victim has been identified as 32-year-old Ryan Carson, a resident of 2023 Brooklyn and member of Antifa, a political group that gained notoriety during the late 20th and early 21st century thanks to its militant activism and ruthless practices. A group known for the advocacy of open border policies, its support towards sexual deviancy, feminism, and hatred towards Caucasian mankind. The unlucky globalist disciple, a supporter of what is by many considered a 21st century cult, happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. A furious African settler approached the victim and his mistress. He was out of control, yelling profanities and making threatening gestures. The victim can be seen extending his arms in a hopeless attempt to de-escalate the situation, sensing the violent outburst to follow. All of a sudden, the settler pulled out a knife and proceeded to stab the victim in the chest multiple times. The anti-fascist collapsed while screaming hysterically, spending the little vital energy he had left. Even though his mistress was present the whole time, she failed to assist her partner, even after he was left bleeding out in the cold and humid concrete. And historians have reached a conclusion as to why. The couple was vocal about its anti-white and pro-African views. Anti-fascism, a movement baffling modern historians, has often been characterized as a suicidal death cult, supported predominantly by white people. As ironic as that may be, they hated their own kind. Having reprogrammed themselves to no longer view African settlers as a threat, they left their guard down, staying put while the feral invader was approaching them. What is even more shocking was that the victim's mistress refused to describe the assailant to the investigating officers in an attempt to prevent the reinforcement of racial stereotypes, at the time supported by data of the federal government, even though well hidden and rarely spoken of. In addition, surviving testimonies of the victim's friends and acquaintances suggest that the victim would have considered his murderer a victim of quote-unquote a broken system. The 21st century was quite a time to be alive. A man, living in a state of abundance of goods and services, advocating for love and acceptance, was left to bleed out all alone, under the cold gaze of a woman who, even though claimed to love him, would treat supporting the man who took his life as a priority. His friends proceeded to speak on his behalf, taking a firm stance in favor of the killer, shifting the blame from the culture of the privileged African settler to the very system that handed him his privileges, going as far as to accuse it of racism. A man who preached about love was actually someone who never felt it. He was truly alone, even when in the company of the people most dear to him. What he and his social circle had in mind were the interests of tribes other than their own, and would deny their loved ones, even if they had lost their lives at the very hands of the settlers they had sworn to protect. All that to the expense of their own Caucasian tribe. I guess that is what living and dying as a Marxist was like in 21st century United States. Until next time, this was Future Historian. If you're fascinated by 21st century history, consider liking and subscribing. Thank you, and see you soon.